Our world is constructed on a foundation of infrastructure, wide networks like arteries, bustling ports, and throbbing electricity grids. However, as we invest billions of dollars each year, we face a painful reality. This spending frequently results in a steady, inevitable decline, rather than an increase in our everyday well-being. Also, you can say that most of the money spent on infrastructure projects are mostly for maintenance and upgrade. The American Society of Civil Engineers, ASCE, consistently given poor grades to the nation's infrastructure in their report cards. The ASCE estimates that the U.S. needs to spend trillions of dollars over the next several years to bring its infrastructure to an acceptable standard. In their 2021 report card, they estimated a $2.59 trillion gap in needed infrastructure funding over 10 years. And globally, the corrosion and maintenance of infrastructure costs the global economy approximately $3.5 trillion every year, which is about 3.5% of global GDP, exceeding the GDP of all but the 5 largest economies in the world. So, in today's video, let's take a look into the hidden $6.5 trillion infrastructure problem that everybody forgot about. This viewpoint is based on the discovery that infrastructure is a significant driver of economic growth. When a country invests in infrastructure, it is laying the groundwork for increased productivity, efficiency, and communication. For example, the American interstate highway system, which began in the 1950s, is frequently credited for giving the United States a boost, as increased connection of people and goods across the country's network helped the economy grow enormously. Similarly, South Korea's investment in broadband infrastructure in the early 2000s helped it become a global leader in information technology. These examples show how infrastructure investment can contribute to economic growth and increase productivity. While the benefits of productivity are widely acknowledged, they are not without caution. Construction is about more than just infrastructure, it is also about long-term sustainability. All infrastructure deteriorates over time and must be repaired, mended, and even replaced. This continual upkeep might be rather costly. The Morandi Bridge collapse in Italy in 2018, for example, exposed the disastrous implications of delayed infrastructure upkeep. Economists, policymakers, and engineers struggle with this since maintenance is as inconspicuous and politically divisive as other initiatives, yet it is equally necessary. As Japan faces the challenge of aging infrastructure, it invests in repairs and uses innovative technologies to preserve and rehabilitate old structures. Infrastructure can be blamed for potential calamities and economic collapse if not properly handled. The notion that resolving the maintenance issue might double global economic prosperity in less than a decade is based on infrastructure's enormous impact on economic activity. The reasoning is that maintenance initiatives now consume a sizable amount of the economy's resources. According to the World Economic Forum, every dollar invested in infrastructure has a multiplier effect, potentially providing large economic growth returns. Then, if there is a method to drastically cut or eliminate continuing maintenance costs, perhaps through new products, technologies, or systems, those resources can be reinvested into other productive ventures, increasing or decreasing the cost of services, and so improving economic growth. For example, if anti-corrosion products or repair technologies could be developed and implemented, the world would save billions of dollars currently spent on preventing corrosion and deterioration of steel structures, freeing up capital for other uses and potentially accelerating economic growth. Governments have historically used infrastructure investments to stimulate the economy, particularly during recessions. These projects generate employment, invest in the economy, and set the groundwork for future economic activity. The New Deal in America comprised massive public works projects that produced jobs and revitalized the American economy during the 1930s Great Depression. Recently, in reaction to the COVID-19 epidemic, numerous states have made significant investments in infrastructure to aid with the recovery from the economic damage caused by the crisis. For example, the European Union's Next Generation EU program is designed to fund a variety of green infrastructure and economic development projects. The premise here is that these investments would not only provide immediate economic advantages through job creation, but will also have long-term benefits by boosting the economy's efficiency and capacity, ultimately leading to sustainable development. However, these advantages are contingent on rigorous and essential project planning, which avoids the hazards of producing white elephants or underutilized assets. When a government invests in manufacturing, it frequently sees an immediate growth in GDP since these industries require labor, goods, and also reduce unemployment, which stimulates industrial production. The development of a new roadway, for example, will employ construction workers, administrative personnel, and promote the local economies where the highway is being built. The long-term impact of infrastructure spending, however, is determined by the advantages of infrastructure. New ports or increased digital connectivity can improve efficiency and lower costs for enterprises, which can lead to an increase in economic activity and tax income over time. However, this is only true if there is a genuine demand for such infrastructure and it is exploited to its full potential. Sri Lanka and China are cautionary examples of what occurs when infrastructure growth falls short of demand. Sri Lanka, for example, spent considerably on infrastructure in the expectation of stimulating its economy. Many of these initiatives, however, have failed to deliver the projected economic benefits, resulting in excessive expenses and underutilized assets in the country. While China's rapid economic growth was largely driven by infrastructure spending, including citywide construction, declining demand resulted in excess inventory, lower asset values, and increased financial risks for investors and local governments. Investing in projects that are not economically necessary can result in leverage. Money spent on non-essential services could be better invested in other areas of the economy with higher returns. Instead of constructing an infrequently used airport, a country would be better served by investing in education or healthcare facilities, which would have greater socio-economic benefits. Before major infrastructure is deployed, feasibility studies are required to analyze the potential success of infrastructure projects. To determine the feasibility of a project, these assessments consider a number of aspects, including economic, technical, regulatory, and policy concerns. A well-designed feasibility study will determine whether the project can be finished on schedule, if it meets regulatory standards, if construction technology is available and dependable, and, most importantly, whether the project makes economic sense. A pre-construction study of a new dam, for example, will consider not only environmental and technical challenges, but also the energy and electricity requirements of the water supply, areas where water can leak out of their homes, and whether the project is the best use of the community's resources, as well as the costs in comparison to other potential projects. By undertaking these studies, governments and developers can avoid costly mistakes, guarantee that public funds are spent on projects that have a clear value, and avoid investing in infrastructure that does not serve a long-term economic purpose or could become an economic burden. Continuous infrastructure maintenance is a significant financial burden that can have an impact on the long-term value and return on investment. Roads, bridges, buildings, and other infrastructure deteriorate over time as a result of wear and tear, weather, and other factors such as rust. The expense of infrastructure upkeep can be substantial. The American Society of Civil Engineers, ASCE, for example, routinely cites an increase in infrastructure injury in the United States, which includes underfunding of maintenance and upgrades. Globally, the expense of corrosion alone can be a significant economic blow, costing billions of dollars in repairs and lost production each year. The cost of repair can have a considerable impact on GDP since it necessitates the use of public funds that could have been utilized for other investments or the continuation of previous expenditures. Investing in infrastructure is a major economic development lever, but it must be used with caution. Infrastructure investments provide an immediate boost to employment and GDP, but the ultimate test of their worth is their long-term contribution to economic health and adaptability to future demands. By doing so, we can create an atmosphere in which the economy thrives not only now, but for future generations, ensuring that the investments we make now return rewards well into the future. And that's all for today's video. This is Visionomics, signing out.